Now we want to get you right to this press conference here. Let's take a listen.
Casualties within the arena. The suspect was confirmed as one of those casualties. Later on, we learned that another casualty from the shooting was at the hospital, that they succumbed to their injuries after being at the hospital, and there is 3 additional victims at the hospital that all are in critical condition at this time. It appears that this was a targeted event, that it may be a family dispute. We cannot release the names of the victims because obviously we want to speak to the family, make sure that the family is well aware of what happened before we release that information publicly. We had assistance from multiple police departments that came in to assist, to offer their assistance. Obviously, the Attorney General is also there with us now going over the crime scene. We had several people in the building, so we are talking to them. So we're trying to put together the story and the timeline of what happened.
Did this happen in the stands? Can you just describe the layout in there and where this all took place?
So because we're in the initial stages of the investigation, I can't get into detail. Obviously, we're still investigating that. We're talking to all the witnesses. Like I said, there were several people within the Lynch Arena because it was a high school hockey game. So we're talking to all those witnesses. We have several witnesses that were here and then some that we have brought to the police station where we're talking to them there. We also were able to take everybody inside the building and we reunified them with their families down by Walgreens. We used RINK buses to be able to reunite those kids and people in the stands with their families.
Was the shooter related to the other victims? You said a family dispute.
Yes, so because it's a family dispute, I don't know the relationship exactly at this point because it's still initial, but yes, it is family related.
Are you releasing any other information about the other victims? Was it critical, juvenile, adults, any other?
Not at this time until we speak to the families and we get more information.
But the mayor said it was a young girl. Is that correct or not correct?
It was a female, is what we know.
Just a female is all you're saying, no age?
Yeah, no age.
Chief, Dan Janney from NBC 10. Can you confirm that the victim is actually the daughter of the suspect?
Okay, so I'm not going to confirm who actually is the casualties at this point because, again, we want to speak to the families and make sure the families are well aware of what happened before we release any information. Again, we're still only at the initial stages. It only happened at 2:30 this afternoon. Again, we went in, like I said, there were several people in there. We have several witnesses that are at the station, so we're going to put it together a story before we release information to make sure that the information's put out there is accurate and correct and there's nobody.
Chief, the 4 victims that are hospitalized, were they hospitalized because they may have been trampled or pushed down, but they actually were not shot?
No, so we have 3 deceased victims, right? We have 3 deceased. The suspect, and then we have 2 victims. And then we have 3 at the hospital that were part of the incident that, no, they were not trampled, that they were shot.
They were all shot.
Yes.
Was the suspect shot by police or was it self-inflicted?
I'm sorry, there's multiple people.
Oh, good.
So what I can say right now is that that's the information that we're going to put out. We're going to obviously probably have more information as the day progresses. Again, we want to speak to all the people that were witnesses so that we can get an accurate story to put out there. I can tell you that we're probably going to have another press release tomorrow, right? We have a lot of people that we want to talk to today. We want to make sure that we get accurate statements. We want to make sure we put it together. We want to make sure we speak to the families. And again, we have to go to the hospital also. And if we can speak to those victims at the hospital, we obviously want to make sure that we do that also.
Do we know what style the weapon was?
So that's the information I'm going to give you for right now. And then again, I will give you more information as we get it. But I'm not.
Because it's a little disputed. Let me be clear. We have a suspect. Is the suspect dead of a self-inflicted gunshot?
So again, what I can say is that no, the police were not involved. What I can say that, again, we're putting all the pieces together. It appears from a self-inflicted gun wound, but we are going to investigate that fully. The police were not involved in that.
So there's a suspect who is dead, and then there are 2 victims. Are those teen victims?
Well, I'm not releasing their ages, but it appears that they're both adults.
Are they both related to the suspect?
Again, I'm trying to.
I understand. We appreciate it.
That's okay. I know, and I want to make sure that with the information we're putting out there, because again, they're family members at home. We want to make sure that we speak to them first before they hear it on the news or in the media. It is very important for us to make contact with the families and get an accurate depiction of what the family dynamics look like so that we can be able to put it out there accurately.
Is there any way that you could do another press briefing later tonight so that because otherwise information gets kind of squabbled. That way, that's what happened in Providence.
We're going to try, right?
Okay.
Like I said, we're following the police investigation, right? Right now it's about the families, right? There were multiple families involved. This was, high school children, so our hearts go out to the families. and we'll give you as much information we can. We know it's important to get out there, but they want to get out there accurate so there's no misinformation.
Mayor, are you able to speak to that, just the trauma these people suffered today at the
I mean, I haven't seen anybody. I can't imagine. You know, I'm watching some people as they're getting put on buses. So, oh, sorry. You know, there has to be traumatic, right, to everybody. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. We're trying to piece it together. You know, they're all being shipped out to have conversations with to keep the investigation going, and we're dealing with the families. We have a lot of our services, family services, the Nonviolence Institute, a lot of our partners. They're all in there. They're doing grief counseling, so we're working close with them as well.
What are some of your concerns when you hear about a shooting inside an arena like this with so many young people?
Of course, when you get the call, you think it's the worst thing, right? And I mean, it's very serious. Having said it, this was an isolated incident in some ways. It's tragic. And you think about that, right? The family, all the resources. We have men and women out there, so your mind goes in all different directions.
Mayor, were any of the players on the ice targeted or hurt in any way?
I don't know that. I know they were on the ice, but I don't know if any of them.
But it appeared it was in the stands.
Chief, are you aware that it was also live streamed so that other people may have seen this? Obviously,
that's what they're piecing together. We're getting through the investigation. Yes.
You say that it's an isolated incident, but it's been just 2 months since that tragic shooting on the campus of Brown University. Can you speak to how traumatic it might be for the people in this community to be experiencing 2 mass shootings within such a short span of time?
The fortunate thing is they're not related, but it is very tragic, right? You're thinking about these are high school kids that were doing an event. They were playing, you know, with their families, watching a fun time, and it turned into this. So it's got to be traumatic.
Mayor or Chief, were there any good Samaritans who stepped in that you know of to help?
So again, I understand that there's live stream out there. It's in the initial stages of the investigation. So if there are witnesses or people that stepped in, we're going to leave that information. Will be confidential until we speak to them. But at this point, what I can tell you is that there were several people in there at the time.
Do you think a parent might have interacted?
Again, I'm trying to see him over it, and it's a little difficult. You guys have it a little higher, but okay. So there were people inside, so I can say that people did assist. But as to the level of the assistance, again, we want to speak to everybody to make sure that we have an accurate statement before we put it out there. Because unfortunately, if we put information out there and it's not exactly accurate, and it was, again, live streamed only for the sense that, so that other people could watch the hockey game.
Did you have 1 or 2 guns?
So again, that information will come out a little later.
Chief, you had said families plural involved or just one family?
No, I believe it's just one family.
Chief, have you reached out to all the schools involved? Because there was like 6 schools out there between the co-ops out there.
So again, we have been on the scene the whole time. As the coaches know, so I'm assuming that the coaches would have reached out to the schools because obviously, I guess with hockey, it's more regionalized. Yes. So it's multiple schools that are playing for one team. So the coaches are there, and I'm sure that they made the schools aware. But personally, we haven't reached out to the schools yet. We will, obviously, but we have been doing in the middle of the investigation.
As the information comes out.
Is the suspect a male or a female? Because there was some confusion from people who actually witnessed this.
Yeah. So again, that's about the extent of what we're going to be able to release at this point. We will give more information as it comes out later today, and then if we can do a press release tomorrow once we've been able to speak to all the witnesses, because again, there was many people inside the arena. We have to speak to all of those people that were in there, give statements. Even if they have nothing to add, we still have to make the attempt and the effort to speak to them to make sure that we have all the information.
So this is
okay?
over. No
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No danger at all.
What you're hearing here is the press conference from Pawtucket Police Chief and the Pawtucket Mayor as well, giving us some new information as we've been following this throughout the afternoon. What we're actually learning now, 2 victims have died. The suspect is dead, but there are still 3 in critical condition at this hour.
Right. And, you know, you also heard right there that this was a targeted situation and they don't believe that there's any danger to the public at this point, that they believe that this involved a family and they're trying to sort through all of that to give us the rest of the details.
And now, typically, there would be news conferences that would be scheduled for 2 hours from now, an hour from now, even if someone is not on the run. In this case, it seemed pretty clear from that comment that the work that they have to do now is talking to a lot of witnesses, some of whom were on scene and talked with police at the scene. Others are hospitalized. As you mentioned, there are 3 in critical condition, but there will be people at the hospital who also witnessed the shooting. And then others will come into the Pawtucket Police Department to talk about what they saw. So it's unusual in a situation like this to be told, yeah, we may not get back to you until tomorrow. And I think when so many people have so many questions, it seems, wait a minute, how is it possible that we're not going to hear anything? But this does involve an extraordinary number of witnesses of varying ages, including minors, and as the police chief said, a family dispute, which may take a little more work to untangle or to learn about.
Right. It seems that way. You know, in this case, they said at this point that they have 2 victims who have passed away and the suspect has passed away. They believe from self-inflicted gunshot wound, but that's all still being evaluated.
Yeah, she was asked about that specifically. You know, was there someone who got involved? Were police involved in this gunman's demise? And on that, she was pretty clear that police were not involved, and that it appears, at least right now, that the person took their own life.
And I think that the response that we did see here at the press conference from Pawtucket's mayor and from Pawtucket's police chief is that they are, in fact, being very careful about the information they can release at this time, because they know that everyone has all these questions about what happened, and people are trying to ask the questions to learn about what the motive could potentially be. But all they could give us right now, and even then, the police chief still hesitant to say this, saying that there may have been a family dispute involved before anyone ever arrived at the rink. So they're still working to confirm that, but they were at least able to peel back a little bit for us, as many of us are asking and watching, those on the scene wondering how and why this could happen. So we do at least know that. And as Cheryl mentioned, the police chief saying the suspect appears to have died from a gunshot wound, but still, again, very early in this investigation. And Lisa reminding us that we might not have another press conference today. It might not be until tomorrow when there are still so many questions left.
You know, the other thing that struck me when she was talking and raised this specter of a family dispute, that would suggest that there would be other people in that arena who probably knew the family. These are players who come together from different communities, play for one team, and this was going to be a full day of play. Presumably, there were other people in the stands who knew this family, if only from watching other hockey games. And that raises that also raises a level of trauma and sadness that isn't there when you have a total stranger involved in this. I mean, it's still traumatic, but this could be much deeper for people who survived this shooting.
Oh, for sure. I think at the very least, what we do know is that they have identified the shooter. They have identified the suspect. So they're aware of who this person is and what the potential motive was, since they said this appears to have been targeted. There is no danger to the community. So on that front, there is a little bit of information in terms of sorting out what caused all this, what led to this. We'll still know more about that as the situation unfolds.
Is it safe to assume, too, that there may be, part of the reason she was so careful, there may be other family members who were not directly involved, but who are just finding out about this now?
Absolutely. And, you don't want to put too much information out there if they haven't been notified and that they are not aware of what's going on. And you don't want them to find out by watching, a news conference.
Right.